The Spellbinders Vivid Expressions collection is filled with flower dyes and scallop trim BetterPress plates and amazing one-pass sentiment sets. And you're going to love every bit of it. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video I'll be focusing on the Vivid Expressions collection, some of the items that I have, and creating a whole bunch of cards with them. So first, let's just take a look at the items that I'll be using today. First up, I have the Pressed Lace Borders press plate and die set. This set comes with several different border press plates that you can use, and I'll show you each of them. And it includes dies, so you can cut them out, which is really nice because then you can put some dimension behind them, or you can layer them right on top of each other and create different looks for your lace. So here I have all three of the different types of lace with my press plate done, and now I'll add the dies and cut them out. Now the only one that doesn't have the double-sided dies is this one because one side is straight. So you can either use this one at the bottom of your card, or you can use your trimmer like I did there to cut it out as well. So here are a whole bunch that I've done. Next we have the Sweeping Script Sentiments press plates. These are really beautiful sweeping script that goes all the way across an A2 card. I love the thank you. There's also hello, and then there's a for, so you can say for you as well. So I just used black ink and I placed my sentiments at the top of the card, and I'll place something else underneath. Don't forget that any press plates you can also use in the Glimmer machine. So I've glimmered at least the hello here in a gold foil look. Next, we have the Ideal Moments press plate and die set. I love these because these are the one pass. So you can see I did both of them in press plate with black ink, and now I'll foil both of them. And the press plates really foil very beautifully. So definitely give it a try if you haven't tried it yet. Just look at how clean that is. The dies, there's two different dies, and they both have a little top that's indicated, so you can tell right away which direction these go. So you're not having to mess around with rotating them and trying to figure out which way they go. And then you get a ton of different sentiments. So many things from hello sweet friend, forever grateful, welcome little one, you're in my thoughts, you brighten my day. It just goes on, and I love having these all foiled and cut out. Next, we have the Blooming Butterflies 3D Emboss and Cut Folder. This is a very cool concept from Spellbinders. It's a 3D embossing folder, and then it includes dies that you can put right in. So you take the embossing folder and you flip it over so that the front is down on my work surface. And then you have the dies with the cut side facing up towards you, and then you slide them into place. And you'll know when they're in place when they can't really move around that much. I have my Spellbinders Mighty Mister and half of an 8.5 by 11 piece of BetterPress cardstock. I love using BetterPress cardstock inside the 3D emboss folder. You get a really great embossed look. And also don't forget to use those adapter plates with your 3D embossing folders from Spellbinders. That really makes it come out so beautiful. And then the Mighty Mister just wets that cardstock enough so that it doesn't crack at all when you emboss it. So this particular embossing and cut folder has a sort of corner of flowers. Then there are 3 different butterflies, a large flower, and a couple of leaves. And so I'll just ink right on top of them. I'm using some waffle flower shader brushes and some Distress Oxide ink in several colors here. This one is Wilted Violet, and you could definitely do more than one color per butterfly. I was trying to keep it pretty simple. For these two pieces, I did put anti-static powder on them, and then I swiped Versamark embossing ink right on top. This way, when I pour some gold embossing powder on top, it will stick to just the parts that had the embossing ink. So it won't be all of the cracks and crevices. It'll just be the parts that are really popped up from being embossed. And you can see that when I shake it off. It's going to look so beautiful when we heat set that. So check this out. It goes from that kind of dirty gold look to a really shiny gold look. And it's just on the places where it's raised from being embossed, which I think is such a pretty look. Next, we'll do the same exact thing only with black cardstock. And for black cardstock, I love to do Simon Hurley's technique of just adding a little bit of lunar paste on your finger and swiping it across the embossed cardstock. I just think this looks so great. It's kind of like the embossing powder where it only shows up on the top where it's been embossed and it doesn't always seep into the cracks. So you can see all of the details of that embossing folder just by adding a little bit of the lunar paste. And you can see these colors really stand out on black cardstock, which is so much fun to then play around with a black background because the colors will really pop when we put it together with an entire black background. You can definitely use more than one color. For here, I'm using Prom Queen for the flowers, and then I'll use Later Gator for the leaves. And it's really just it's like finger painting essentially, which I know some people don't like to get a bunch of ink on their fingers, but it's a lot of fun. Next up, we have the Vivid Blooms Etched dies. There are a ton of flowers, they're layerable, and there are a bunch of leaves and stems as well. So I cut them all out of several different colors. Now let's use the Vivid Expressions collection to make some cards. For this first card, I'll use that piece of black cardstock that I embossed and cut and then covered with lunar paste. It's the corner with all those flowers. And I adhered it down to an A2 piece of black cardstock and just trimmed off anything that was falling off the side. Now I'll use some black foam squares to pop up some of the die cut flowers and leaves that I created with the dies. And I love the bright colors on the black cardstock, especially the lunar paste and then also the Spellbinders colorful cardstocks. And then I have one of the sentiments that I BetterPressed. Just a really easy and fun card to put together. Next, I'll use the other corner that I created where I added Versamark and gold embossing powder. And again, I'll cut off anything that falls off of an A2 piece of cardstock. It is larger, so you could do this on a 5x7 if you wanted to. I'll add one flower and then a sentiment that I did in the foiling. So this is the same sentiment set, but the one that was foiled and says, "Hello, sweet friend." Again, super simple to put together once you have all those pieces. For this one, I'm using the sweeping sentiment that I foiled that says hello. I put that on an A2 piece of cardstock, but I cut it down to 4x5 1/4 so that I could mat it on another piece of white cardstock just to give it a nice edge. And then I'll take one of the lace that I BetterPress and die cut and pop that up on the bottom. And that gives me kind of like a flower box to put some of these flower die cuts into and a place to house my sentiment as well. Again, that sentiment is with the BetterPress says sending hugs. For this next card, I'll use the hello from the sweeping sentiments that I BetterPressed in black ink. And I'll take the lace that I BetterPressed and die cut. And this time I will adhere it right down flat to the card. So you can see there's a little hanging off of both sides. That's because I made them a little bit longer than A2 so that I could trim them to perfectly fit my panel. So I'll just flip it over and trim off anything that hangs off the side. I did cut this down to 4x5 1/4 so I could mat it on some colorful cardstock and then just added a little flower at the end of the hello. For this next card, I'm adding a little bit of Distress Spritz. That is the lighter color but more shimmer distress spray, and I just used that in the corners. This is the thank you sweeping sentiments, which I've cut down to 4x5 1/4 so I could mat on some waterfall cardstock. That is my favorite color of Spellbinders cardstock. And then I added one of the lace pieces at the bottom, and I'll pop up a flower and a leaf from the die set as well. So you can see how all of these elements really work together and create beautiful but different looking cards depending on which of the elements that you use. For this next card, I'm using those butterflies that I embossed and cut and then inked. I also have one piece of lace that I'm placing at the bottom of an A2 piece of white cardstock. I have a couple of the flowers that I die cut and layered together, and then I'll just scatter these butterflies throughout the card. I love having them all together on one card. They look really pretty. Of course, the larger one you could definitely use on its own, but all three together in different colors is just a really nice touch. And then there's a sentiment that says thanks a million, which I foiled, and one more little die cut flower. Again, these all work together so beautifully. I love having an assortment of items to use from this collection. For this card, I'll use the embossed and cut elements that I added lunar paste over. So these were on the black cardstock, so I'll use a black panel in the back. I did decide to add a couple of colors, different pieces of lace. This is actually one piece of lace that I cut in half so that I could put one half at the top and one half at the bottom to make a scallop top and a scallop bottom. And I was worried that this wasn't going to look great with the black cardstock, but for some reason I really liked it. I cut that all down to 4 by 5 1/4 so I could mat it on some gold glitter cardstock just to give it a nice final edge, and then added "Hello Sweet Friend" as my sentiment. I don't know about you, but I love collections like this that are just so versatile, that have just a whole bunch of components that can be easily used together to make a whole bunch of different kinds of cards. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Scallop, trim, okay, blah, get it out. I have like 3 things to say. And then, you want to go out again? That went really, really fast. I haven't done one in a while, so I'm like very proud of that.